Organized Labour embarks on a nationwide strike today. Now, this is actually off the back of SSNIT pulling out of the sale arrangements. They've cancelled all of it and are no longer moving forward with taking bids or looking at any, tenders and all of that. So, let me read the story for you. Organised Labour to strike despite termination of proposed sale of SSNIT Hotels. Now, Organised Labour is set to proceed with a nationwide strike today in protest of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust's attempt to sell its 60% shares in 4 hotels. Now, SSNIT terminated the process to sell the hotels to Rock City, owned by a Greek minister, Brian Champon, on Friday after Organised Labour threatened to strike on Monday. The termination process was announced after Rock City Hotel withdrew its bid to purchase the 60% shares of SSNIT in the 4 hotels. Although SSNIT has now terminated the sale process, Organised Labour remains Organised Labour remains steadfast in its decision to proceed with the strike. Now, in an interview with City News, Dr. Eliasu Mumuni, National Secretary of UTAG, expressed disappointment, stating that SSNIT disregarded their warnings and concerns, breaching the trust of the Labour group. Now, I quote, "When Organised Labour issued an ultimatum, MPRA stepped in and said they were putting on hold the transaction. And so Organised Labour went back quietly. And just when we were thinking that sleeping dogs were lying, it popped up that MPRA had given the approvals." Again, Monday, July 15th, has been set as a day for strike. And again, SSNIT is coming out to publicly say that they have terminated the transaction. But that there is a breach of trust. And that is why we are saying that because there is that public press statement issued announcing the termination, we were part of the broader organization, Organised Labour Front. We, as part of the broader Organised Labour Front, should not go and sleep. All right, so now, he says, let me wrap it up. He says, we think that it's time we looked into the SSNIT board structure to have the current members relieved of their positions and bring new people on the board. So, Paul, let me start with you.
Okay.
Thus far have we come?
Okay, good.
Yes.
I want to ask for permission and break protocol a bit, if I may do this. Wama aha yedem, wama aha yedem, Organised Labour, wama aha yedem.
Oh yeah, you need that more.
Yedem, Organised Labour, wama aha yedem. Hey, omainuma yedem.
Really?
I am super excited that for the first time in the history of our nation and our republic, Article 1 of our Constitution, and I read with your permission, Article 1:1, it says, the sovereignty of Ghana resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose welfare the powers of government are to be exercised in the manner and within the limits laid down in this Constitution. How beautiful. That for once, the sleeping giant decided to wake up and look at the results. Just one.
Yeah.
Waking up from its slumber, look at the results we are seeing. Almost all the associations respected the decision of Organised Labour, and today they've decided to lay down their tools, waiting for what is to come from SSNIT. And yes, before even SSNIT will come out, Rock City had issued a statement withdrawing their interest.
Yeah.
I think it was a good thing, because whether they like it or yes, their reputation, the reputation of their owner, was also at stake. And then a statement also came from SSNIT.
Yeah.
Whether signed or not signed, that debate could come at a later date. But our interest is that SSNIT also terminated the idea, the notion to go ahead with the sale of the 4 hotels. Yet again, whilst we are commending organized labor, let us also not forget the MP who blew the whistle on this, and I think that is the North Tongu MP, the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa. Yeah. Commendations are in order, and so congratulations to the Honorable, and again to organized labor, their front for exercising their rights, you know, as far as SSNIT is concerned. You see, the idea to sell these hotels began somewhere in 2018. At the time, the Honorable, what's his name? Just a moment. I'm trying to get his name. The Honorable Dr. Kwame Adukufo. He was the then board chair. So when Ohene Elizabeth came into office in 2021, she did not have a choice than to ratify the decisions of the former board. But you see, if we are to go to the composition of the board today, there are 13 of them, with your permission. There's a chairperson, 2 persons nominated by the president, 4 reps from Organized Labour, 1 rep from National Pensioners Association, 1 rep from the Ministry of Finance, not below the rank of a director, and then 1 rep from the Ghana Armed Forces, the Director General, and then the Company Secretary. So you could tell that this composition does not even favor the contributors, if you like, organized labor. As much as they have 4 of them, there are 13 to 4. Okay. Sorry, 9 to 4. Yeah. If the ratio is anything to go by. So in terms of decisions, definitely it will favor the appointing authority than the organized, yes, the contributors, if you like. And so, even though they were party to the decision to sell, they had a different idea. The decision at their end was that we should look at the management of these hotels, because over the period they have not been doing well. So why don't we change the managerial structure, get in place people with the competence, with the wherewithal to handle the management of these hotels, rather than the attempt to, if you like, divest our shares, you know, to a private person. These were the concerns of organized labor. Then the president called them somewhere in June that, listen, come, let's have an engagement. They went. They respected the president and went. So at the Jubilee House, the president reiterated the need for these hotels to be sold. But organized labor was still adamant. Despite the persuasions and what have you from government, they were still adamant to accepting whatever was on the table. Then NPRA said, hey, hold your horses. SSNIT, send me all the details of whatever transaction that is about going on. They obliged. Just when we thought that they were going to invite organized labor vis-a-vis SSNIT board and management to a meeting to maybe address, the next thing we knew, the Minister for Employment and Pensions was in Parliament saying that NPRA has given the green light for, as it were, the hotels to be sold. How scandalous. And this is where organized labor woke up and said, no, we will not allow our assets to be sold on a silver platter. We are not selling our hotels for coins. And so they decided that if you, SSNIT, you have decided to go ahead with the sale despite our persuasion, then fair enough. This is what we are also going to do. And thanks be to God. look at the results that that decision alone has yielded. It goes to tell us that if one day organized labor wakes up and says that we are not in support of XYZ from government, and they make a case for it, definitely we'll have results from there. Even our constitution is enshrined in our constitution the powers the citizens have, the powers the people have. Yeah. So you see, the power is within the people. If you have been appointed or you are an appointing authority and you seem to forget who put you there, who gives you that power to exercise whatever you are exercising, then I'm afraid. Because today, I do not think that the board of SSNIT should continue to exist. One, the management of SSNIT should continue to exist. Two, why? Because they are a total failure. Failure on the part of the board, failure on the part of management has resulted to where we are today. But for the board and management, still the hotels would have been functioning. The question is, who appointed these managers of the hotels? It is the same board. And if the management of these hotels are not performing, then it comes back to bite the appointing authority, which happens to be the board and management. Yeah. And so they have no business being board members as they are. They have no business being management, as they ought to. Mr. President, dissolve the board. Mr. President, fire the management of SSNIT. Let us have new people, new hands in place, and let us see what they also bring on board.
All right.
That's as far as it goes.
Okay, fantastic. Conversations, of course, about, initially we forayed into the discussion on, the MPs and ministers seeking to have, to be exempted from speeding, and so they can speed whatever speed they want to go, and all of that. As part of the airline that's been laid in Parliament. And then we went to talk also about the SSNIT hotels issue and all of that. So we want to hear from you. If you have any thoughts you want to share with us, kindly do so. The WhatsApp line is 0204 447 Kindly share your thoughts with us, and we'll read it out here on air. Let me go over to my other guest, Captain.
Look, on a quick note,
yes.
We thank God they left the state assets for now, temporarily. So I'm being careful. I'll use the word temporarily because, you know about the SML. It's a run around, and then we are back there again.
But even this one, MPRA initially said,
exactly.
And
so
then before you realize.
So there can be a shock at any point in time. But the energy with which we actually all came together to say no is important. But there's some of these officials lived in state bungalows. Some of these officials, they lived, their fathers benefited from state bungalows. And they were children at the time who lived in the comfort and had access to good things in those bungalows that they are selling today. I mean, it was not a fluke for us to think about having state bungalows that we could use, to do things, and then these officials would be closer and stay in the middle of the city and run things for us. But it's important that we give thanks to Organized Labour, to the media, also for your coverage and follow-up, to the CSO, and to all Ghanaians. Look, it's a case of the kenke seller giving her child money to go and buy kenke from another place. It doesn't make sense. The kenke seller is giving money. The child wants money from the mother to go and buy kenke from another house because that kenke is nicer. You can't help your mother to make the kenke nice. You want her to give you money. You are on her neck to give you money to go and buy kenke from another place. And I'll explain. Look, the issues are the sale has been halted, and I told you I am being careful because my good brother Franklin Kujo cautions when we were all jubilating. He said, no, there's no need to jubilate. You need to be careful because the same La Palme is accruing debt for us, which makes a salient point. Only why I divulge is that I want him to give me the chance to jubilate that Ghanaians have been able to say, no, stop it. It's important. So that side will still jubilate, but it's important to listen to him. That sad attempt We need to do something to avert it from happening again. There's a need to dissolve the board as the discussions are going on. We need to safeguard assets, the state assets. It's important. And the debts still, they linger around, so we shouldn't forget ourselves. What's the way forward? Let's produce or initiate, a bill right now to make it difficult for people to even attempt to touch our state assets. It's important. Like the way we are doing for free SHS. We should do another one for all state assets. That one is even supreme and important. And we also should look at dissolving the board one time. You see, sometimes it's not about taking the action. How early you take the action.
Okay.
If you dissolve it 2 weeks later, it doesn't make any... just after this quick reversal, you look at it and say, look, let's chase... You see, it's another thing just, going in there to crack the crackdown on the criminals. It's another thing arresting them and jailing some to deter others. So the levels must follow up. Let's review the powers of the SSNIT board. We need to review the whole constitution and then their operations and their duties and how the powers they have. Yeah. Because, after meeting everybody and after we made all the cries, they had the impunity to continue. That means there's some strength in there that documentary or legal provisions that empowers them to take that action. Let's cut that one off. And then look, somebody will ask, what's the next move? The next move is make sure these hotels work. How? My brother, go and count the number of the ministries and agencies organizing events at private hotels this morning. They organize hundreds of activities in private hotels. And they pay. So tell them, it is not, the irony, the same agencies and individuals in there working, they will get cheats from Goel. When it gets to that level that they will chop and benefit, they know that one state institution must feed them. So they will get cheats from Goel. When it is coming to them, it is good. But because of the interest, and I won't hide it, they have serious interest in taking those events to private hotels. You are leaving your mother's kinky to go when you want your mother to give you money to go and buy KK as well. Somebody else. How does it make sense? And then the next thing to talk about is that, look, let the state institutions pay swiftly. Like my brother said, just like they are paying you see, just when it becomes a state institution to another state institution, then they start buying that game. They should just pay it as swiftly. And that's why I'm saying their interest is making them pay at the private institutions that they are dealing with, as the private hotels. Look, let's sign a performance contract with the heads of these hotels. If you don't deliver, you go home. Too much is given, much is expected. Even when La Palma was going through these troubles, you saw what the acting head who took over, what they were paying the person. Yeah, $3,000. It doesn't show any. You see, sometimes I say it is a thinking problem. When there's look in the CSO space, when funding become constrained, they tell the workers, it's either we lay some off, or you all stay and then we have your salary. You were employed to work for this company. That job security that we have given on the large scale to government sector workers, we have to relook at it. If maybe after every 2 years or after every 3 years, all government workers must sign another new contract, we should go to that level. So that they assess you before you are kept. This, you see, that job security, the sense of security has given them some lazy attitude, not all of them, but the majority of them. So you go to ministries and it's about 2:33, people are walking into Makola just like that. Because nobody is there to check. And we have to check it very well. Finally, look, I'll tell you this. The same Ghanaians who will go and work in the private sector and make it happen, they are the same Ghanaians who we employ to work in the public sector. So the only thing that is a problem, the bane of our problem, is monitoring. Keeping a strict eye on them and making them work. Why? We have a police service, and the state uses them to guide from the president to all the state officials as it works. Why don't they go and give the contract to a private security firm? Why? Because it is to their benefit. When the MPs wanted security, why didn't you just tell them, look, let's just have some national service persons to follow you and be, we'll train them for 3 months. They want the state quality one. So there's some state institution that can be quality. So all of them should be quality. Toy is sitting there. Look, the long and short of it is that, look, we have a state institution, SIC. Yet they are struggling. And all government insurance big deals are going to private insurance companies. Yeah. So that is a problem. If we want to solve this problem, this next problem, to start with, all government activities, all the events organizers and the procurement departments of these ministries and agencies should come up with their annual events for the next year, in the last quarter. So the last quarter of this year, they should plan for next year's events, calendar events, and the ones they have discussed, put it on the table, and then discuss with the accounts department. So the accounts department will start working on PVs, like it's done in the CSO space.
Okay.
And in city, I know you do that.
Yeah.
Once you know you do city caravan, they have started discussions already. Where you stop, the number of stops, you plan everything, and you know even the hotels. You start discussing with the hotels already. Yeah. So do that and sign those documents and make provisions for them and go and discuss with La Palme, so that all the activities, Labadi, La Palme, or the rest of the hotels will have them, and then they can even shift the rest of the events rather to the outside.
All right, fantastic. We have a message here from one of our viewers. Sometimes I find myself thinking deeply about how some so-called office holder whom I voted for and whose salary I contribute to every month receives substantial ex gratia payments every 4 years. They drive around in V8 vehicles paid for with my hard-earned money. This same MP then uses sirens to demand right of way on the roads that I struggle to navigate. Roads which are supposed to be fixed but haven't been. It is frustrating because they expect to be treated like royalty while the roads remain neglected. Hey, Ghana Ihado. That's the message coming in. You didn't add your name, but keep the messages coming and kindly add your name and where you're messaging us from, where you're watching us from.